Hello and welcome to our CS460 Tech Demo. This is our International Student Quiz web app by Tonia, Isaac, and Alonso.
Hi, my name is Tonia, and I want to talk about how I came up with the idea for the International Student Trivia Game. Now, coming to Wartburg, it's a new school and it's in a new country with a completely new and different culture that I knew nothing about. Of course, I had some questions coming in, and I still have some questions as we go along, and I just learned from experience. And I think it would be very nice to have known some of the things that caused me a lot of obstacles and challenges on my way. And that's what I want to help new incoming international students with. Um, Now, first, I think that having a game to play while you're learning about your basically next 4 years of your life is going to be really fun. If you have questions and you have answers and you have like points, and it's just a way more fun way to learn, and more people will be willing to do it that way. Now, coming to Wartburg, I realized that everything is different. Like, I wasn't really prepared for how the social scene is, how different academics is in the US from like Jordan or wherever else I studied, how financially I had a lot of learning to do, and even legally. And there's a lot of questions that I had, but there's also a lot of questions that I didn't know I had to have. So I didn't know what questions to ask. But with a game that shows you the questions you should be asking, you kind of learn the answers to them, and you kind of learn the type of questions you should be asking as well. And I think it would be very good if international students collaborated their different experiences and we all combine them into one database of questions that incoming students will have the access to. And now the last reason is personally, I wanted to learn more about backend development. I wanted to learn about how you can work with HTML and databases and how you can make like a fully working website and not just a static page.
Now let's delve into how our group came up with the game logic. Based on trivias and quizzes that we've all taken in the past, we determined that there were several key elements to making a quiz fun yet effective. These factors were the accuracy for questions, as well as question and answer shuffling. For the questions, we decided to randomize the order that the questions are shown in to prevent the issue of a user answering a question and being immediately presented with the same question over again. We want them to be presented with a new question, and if an old question is shown again, it would be later on in the future. A similar thing for the answer options. We decided to randomize the order of the answers as well, because we saw the issue of users potentially memorizing the order of the correct position for the answer. And we don't want that. We want them to understand the question that they're being shown and why the correct answer is the correct answer. As for the accuracy for questions, we decided that the best way to handle questions being shown was to have a threshold value for determining whether a question would be repeated or not. This would also be combined with the number of times a question has been shown and answered to the user. Our threshold value would be 60%, and the number of times a question would be answered would be 5 times. So for example, if a user answers a question less than 5 times with less than 60% accuracy, they will be shown the question again. However, if they've answered the question with greater than 60% accuracy and more than 5 times, they will not be shown the question again. Now, why did we do this, you ask? It's because we wanted the international students to fully grasp the topics that are being shown to them before they come to Wartburg. These topics would include life at Wartburg, Wartburg academics, as well as all the things you need to know about being an international student here at Wartburg.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alonso Pacheco, and I'm going to show you the progress that we made so far on our project. So to start a project, we need to run on a development server. And so we're using Flask in order to do this. So after we paste this into the search bar and we press enter, we will be directed to our game. So this is the welcome screen. And it takes you to the main page of our application. So this is the home page. I mainly worked on the front end while Tonia and Isaac worked on the back end with also some help on the front end. But essentially, this is the home page of our application, and these are the tabs that you can go to with our nav bar. And so what we're going to want to do is register a user. So to register a user, we're just going to click on register. And then we have these 4 fields in which you can input information. So choosing a username, we can do just about anything. For now, we can just do CS as a username and the password. It doesn't really matter. We don't have any like minimum character requirements, so we'll just make the password also CS. Starting year, obviously for a player playing this game, starting year would pertain to whenever their starting year is. So for now, we can just do 2022. In the country, we can just pick USA. And when a user is registered, it takes you back to the home page and you are now logged in. And pretty cool thing is that when you register an account for our project, you are automatically inputted into the database that we have. So right here, we have the list of all the users in our database. We just added a new user called CS, and the password was also CS. But the cool thing is that we have hashed the passwords so that the people on like the development end won't be able to see the passwords of the users that are playing our game. It's just a little security measure that we did, and we thought it's pretty useful. As you can see, our first user that we made, we could see the password, and obviously that's a pretty big security risk. So back to the application. Right now, we only have these 5 tabs, and so we can take a quiz. And so on this page, we have the question out of 10, and we have the questions correct, and these update as you take the quiz. And so this line of text that says this is line 6, this would normally be the question, but we are still gathering a pool of questions and some answers. So for placeholders, we just have this is line 6, and then we have the 4 answers that you could possibly pick from. And so for our project, we have A as the correct answer every time, but every time a new question gets displayed on the page, the answers get randomized every time. And so if you were to get a question correctly, it would tell you that is correct, you gain 35 points, and you can go on to the next page. And as you can see, it's updated. We increment question by 1, and questions correct is also incremented by 1. We get a new question. This is line 15, and you can answer another question with the answers randomized. So if you were to get a question incorrectly, it would say, sorry, that is incorrect, minus 35 points, move on. And so essentially, you get to do this for 10 or so questions. It doesn't really matter for now. As you can see, as I'm answering questions correctly and incorrecting, the questions correct is going up as well as the question number. So as we get to nearing the end of the quiz, it is just about the same as we go through. And once you finish the quiz, you're either greeted with one of 2 pages. If the score that you have is less than 50%, you will get a page that says you failed, your final score is less than 5 out of 10. And in this case, we passed since we got 7 out of 10, so we got you passed. You can play again, and it'll also randomize the questions that it gives you based on the questions that you answer correctly. So the cool thing is that all these questions that we answered are also stored in the accuracy table. And as you can see, we are user 22, as we saw earlier. These are the questions that we saw. The question IDs, we saw 6, 15, 5, 2, 11, 3, 17, and 8. And this tab keeps track of if we got them correct or not and how many times we've seen these certain questions. So right here, we saw question 5 3 times in that same quiz. And we're also working to see if we could try to minimize that, but because this is this user's first quiz, a lot of the questions that they see are either going to be repeats or brand new ones. And the cool thing about our project is that depending on how many questions you get correct or incorrect, it'll show you questions based on that. So if I were to get question 5 correct a ton of times, as I've seen it 3 times, I've got it right 2 times, most likely the next time I play the quiz, it will not let me see question 5 again. And instead, it will show me a new question that I am either struggling on, that I have a low passing percentage on, or that I haven't seen before at all. And so obviously we've been testing this and it seems to be working fairly well. And so we think that's a pretty cool thing that we've done. Tonia will talk soon about what we need to improve on, what we are working on right now, and kind of the developments that we made in just the past couple of days. Because honestly, the backbone of our project is pretty much done. All that we need to do now is just add features like achievements and some other things that Tonia will get into very soon. And so as you go home, you can see that the user is logged in all the time, no matter where they are. You can go to register, you can go to login, you can go home. The user's logged in at all times. And to finish your session, all you need to do is log out. And now you're done. You can log in as a different user. You can see that I can log in as account that I had made just the other day, which is myself. And the wrong one. Okay, so now you see that I'm logged in as me. I can take the quiz, I can get a question right or wrong. And now I can go back to the database, and the next time I open the database, it should be updated. So I was user 19 and I just got a couple questions wrong or incorrect. So now it's updated based on who is logged in at a certain time.
Now I want to talk a little bit about what we are working on, what we want to improve, and what we want to improve for the poster, and what we want to improve, just in general moving forward. So first of all, this is the screen you see when you first enter. It just waits for you. Now I want to make it so, it looks prettier first of all, and then it fades out instead of just moving to a different screen, and it can respond to a click. Now it just does it waits for 2 seconds and then, or 3 seconds, and it just goes away by itself. The second thing is here, when you click here, you can go to login and you can go to login from here. So let's log in as Faye. Now, if you click here, if you're already logged in and you click here again, it still brings you to the login page, even though you're already logged in. So I want to make it take you to actually beginning the quiz now. Now, here, if you click on the user, you can see that it's Faye, but it's just a hard-coded picture. We want to make it so the user can choose their own picture, and I want to make this a little prettier. Now it says incoming year is 0 and home country is 0. It's just because in our database, the year, we just put them as 0 for the first users, but then we started putting them as actual values. Now, if you click here on classmates, it shows you classmates and country mates. We also want to make this look better, of course, and we're debating whether we should put the classmates email over here so people can actually communicate with each other, or whatever other form of communication people will choose. So for classmates, the reason it shows all these people is because the year that they get into Wartburg is 0 for all these people, like, yeah. And the country mate is because the country is 0, just like it is for Faye. Another thing I would like to do is, let's say the user is logged out and they try to take the quiz. It brings us here, which does not make any sense for the user that is just playing the game to play the game. So I want to make it like an error message show up. So let's say that we register as Faye again, and it was 0, right? So register as Faye, and you click register. Instead of giving that ugly error, it shows this. Please choose another name. So I want to do these like errors for basically everything. So yeah. And when you take the quiz, we want to do a lot of like other things. We want to have potentially a timer, and we also want to have little achievements that people can have. And maybe for the future, what we would like to do is that instead of this just being the welcome screen and it brings you to a quiz about Wartburg, that welcome screen will bring you to a quiz where there is like rectangles of themes, and one of these themes will be Wartburg. Other themes will be something else. It doesn't have to be a trivia about Wartburg. It doesn't even only have to be for international students. It will just be like a get to know your area that you're going to for college, get to know the local traditions, get to know a specific college. It can be Wartburg, it can be UNI, it can be whatever people are willing to write questions for, basically. Another thing we want to improve is the question table. So here questions are just, this is line 1, line 2, and these are like very, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. So now for questions, they're just called lines. And the correct answers are just like hard-coded as A, B, C, D. When have actual questions and actual answers, now the correct one always goes in the correct spot. What else? Do we need something else for the questions? Yeah, we just need to write them down, and we also need to write down potentially an explanation of why this question is correct and why this question isn't. So let's say you take a quiz and you answer D and it is incorrect. So what that means, yeah, it basically means it's incorrect, but you don't know what the correct answer is. And it doesn't tell you that, and it doesn't tell you why D is incorrect. So I want to fix that as well. And I think that will be it for us to fix.